It took me ages to find her, like months and months, and everyone said, no, there's no female mountain guides, women don't do that job. Hi, I'm Elise, and I've been following in the footsteps of history's forgotten female explorers and using only what they would have had at the time. And this is Women Beyond Borders for Euronews Travel. So my project is called Women with Altitude, and basically it's all about highlighting female explorers from the past who are really overlooked at their time, especially compared to their male counterparts, as well as women that guide me in the places I visit. The first one I did was Alexandra Neal, and she was this amazing adventurer. She was an opera singer, an explorer, a writer, and she was one of the first Western people to get into Lhasa, which was the capital of Tibet. The first Western woman to ever meet the Dalai Lama. I found this old picture of her, and she's there in her big yakwool coat. She's got her wooden backpack and her sort of walking boots on. So I based my entire outfit on that picture. So I ended up making my own backpack out of a chair that I found on the street, because essentially it was the same sort of frame. I did a lot of research into what women would have had at the time, because they were already struggling to be taken seriously as authors. So they're not going to start writing about what undergarments they had or what pants they were wearing. So I'd look into sort of the cotton dresses that they had, the woolly tights, woolly socks, things like that. So I kind of sourced all them from different places. Then I went off and followed her footsteps in a very northern bit of India called Sikkim, which is a really beautiful mountainous area. I found a mountain guide called Django who was just absolutely incredible. And it took me ages to find her, like months and months, and everyone said, no, there's no female mountain guides, women don't do that job. And eventually I found her, and she literally made the trip. She was absolutely amazing. So some amazing moments would probably be in India when we got to the base camp of Mount Kanchenjunga. So it's the third highest peak in the world. And I remember getting there after loads of times thinking we wouldn't make it. Like, a lot of us were altitude sick. We didn't get the permits till like the day before we meant to go to this certain area where the mountain was. And then eventually we got there, and it was absolutely insane. I don't really have words for it, because we were so tired. We kind of got up there, and then you just see these mountain peaks, and I'd never seen anything like that before in my life. I'd never seen mountains like that. And Django actually put her traditional clothes on as well. So we were kind of dressed in our traditional clothes together. And she did a prayer for her father, who'd passed away. And the whole moment was just really beautiful. And then all of a sudden the clouds came in and it started snowing and it was freezing. So we kind of went down quite quickly. So it was this kind of short, beautiful little moment. And then the second trip I kind of did on my own. So Emily and another female filmmaker came for a bit, but essentially they just came and stayed with me for a couple of days and then left, and then left me wandering around on my own. Nan Shepherd, who I went on to follow on my second journey, is a writer and a sort of explorer of the Cairngorms, which is a mountain range in Scotland. And it's just kind of a really harsh, amazing area that you wouldn't think you'd get in the UK. So she wrote this book called The Living Mountain, and I just followed the book around for like 3 weeks, just wandering around, going to the places that she writes about so beautifully. There was this time in the book where Nan writes about how she did a skinny dip in Loch Avon. I felt just so calm and like zen. And I just did this skinny dip and there was no one around, and I was just naked in this freezing cold but most beautiful place I'd ever seen. And that was a real highlight, kind of amazing moment. And the thing with the Scotland trip, I'd travelled a lot, but I'd never really done it on my own. And I think at first I had a sense of fear about just sleeping on my own in the middle of nowhere. But after a couple of days, that all goes, and then it becomes this kind of beautiful thing. And I suddenly felt really comfortable kind of being alone, really comfortable just sitting, doing nothing. So for me, what I get out of it, I think, is I actually have always struggled with confidence the whole of my 20s. I had this really bad sort of anxiety where at one point I couldn't even go to work. I've gradually got better over the years, and like I've had lots of therapy and been on medication and things like that, which have helped. But also for me, doing these trips has definitely given me a lot more confidence. Having to be put in those situations where I have to organize lots of people, organize myself. And actually, once I'm on the trip, it's amazing because you're so involved in what's everyone doing, where are we going today, what's happening, that you do forget about that anxiousness so much. And I guess the other thing is that when I read about these women, I get so inspired. So I was reading about them all over lockdown. I've got like bookshelves full of their books, and I genuinely find them just really inspiring. One of the things I always say is that even if you look on the TV now, there's no women in this space. And it's just about time, that we highlight these women and try to inspire people today at the same time, because it's still very male-dominated world. And I think by bringing, these stories to life of these women from the past, it will really, really help to inspire people today to kind of get into the outdoors and go on adventures for themselves.